Hi, I'm Nicolas Alhaddad, and I'll be talking about our new asynchronous verifiable secret sharing construction. This work has been done with Mayank Varia and Haibin Zhang. But first, I'm going to talk a little bit about asynchronous broadcast, because the two problems are linked. In an asynchronous broadcast, you have a dealer and end parties. Every party is connected to every other party, and the dealer is trying to send the same message to all the parties. The parties will talk to each other, and at the end of the broadcast, everyone should be on an agreement on what the dealer sent. This is an asynchronous setting, so parties cannot differentiate between slow and failed parties, so they cannot wait for all messages from everyone, because T of them might have failed and never sent anything. In this specific setting, the maximum number of malicious parties we can tolerate is T when n is equal to 3T plus 1, meaning slightly less than a third of the parties are malicious. This is called optimal resilience. With asynchronous verifiable secret sharing, or AVSS for short, the dealer is broadcasting shares of a secret rather than a plain text message. The parties need to agree that indeed the shares are consistent with a single secret. The setting is still the same, but now we added another variable P to indicate how many honest parties are needed to reconstruct the secret. Notice it doesn't make sense for P to be less than T. Otherwise, malicious parties would be able to reconstruct the secret, and thus the secret is no longer a secret. With high threshold AVSS, we ask ourselves, how far can we take P? And the answer is, we need all honest parties. It doesn't make sense for P to be bigger than the number of honest parties. Otherwise, we will have no guarantee that the honest parties can reconstruct the secret. However, the answer to that question was open for a while, and people didn't know if it was possible. So, why is high threshold AVSS challenging? Assume that we are in the world where all honest parties are needed to reconstruct the secret. Take the scenario where we have a malicious dealer and T-1 colluding parties. The dealer/bad parties are going to interact with the T+1 honest parties as if they were legit parties. However, they will not interact with the other T honest parties. And the dealer will not even give them shares. The T+1 honest parties are going to finish, thinking that the other T parties didn't send anything because they failed. Remember, we are in an asynchronous setting, and we cannot wait to hear from all parties. This will break agreement. Some honest parties have finished the sharing, while others simply have not. If you look at the point of view of the T+1 honest parties, you would see that they have the same view, regardless if the dealer is honest or not. This seems like an impossible problem to come around. Notice that this works for whatever sharing protocol we pick. Now, the way to come around this is to let the T+1 honest parties together have the secret shared among them, and let them distribute the new shares to the T honest parties. The original shares are never again used in the reconstruction, but the new sharing is. Now, the question is how those T+1 honest parties are going to acquire this shared secret among them, and how are they going to produce new shares with a different threshold and convince the other T honest parties that these are good shares? And how can we do it efficiently? One way to do this is let the dealer do it. On a high level, the KMS paper solved this by having the dealer generate the shares according to a bivariate polynomial. The bivariate polynomial has two different dimensions. One has degree t, while the other has degree 2t, like in the table in front of you. Therefore, the secret S is shared along two different sharing thresholds. The dealer would deal every party one row and one column of this table. The honest party then sends one share in its own row and column to every other party. This will enable the T+1 honest parties together to send the proper shares to the other T honest parties in case they don't receive any good ones. The consistency of the shares is mostly guaranteed by a commitment to the bivariate polynomial of size O of n squared, resulting in an overall communication complexity of n to the 4 to achieve agreement over it. Additionally, the KMS paper had to pay an extra round in the sharing phase, compared to the standard AVSS constructions that don't support high threshold. Also, they had to use the digital signatures. We offer a new way to solve this. We don't need the extra round, we don't need digital signatures, and we don't need the bivariate polynomial. So, what is Haven? Haven is a customizable AVSS that supports high thresholds of reconstruction. Haven bridges asynchronous reliable broadcast with secret sharing using additively homomorphic polynomial commitments. As a result, based on the polynomial commitment that is used with Haven, we achieve different properties that outperform the best AVSS, even those that don't even support high threshold. In this table below, we include a comparison of Haibin equipped with KZG commitments, option 1, and bulletproofs, option 2, against the state-of-the-art AVSS. Both options solve the high threshold AVSS problem with optimal resilience. Option 1 uses trusted setup, but achieves optimal communication complexity, both amortized and non-amortized. Option 2 doesn't use trusted setup, while still offering a near-optimal communication complexity that outperforms all previous AVSS that don't require trusted setup. In more detail, the only dual threshold AVSS that supports high threshold is the KMS paper line 4. They don't require a trusted setup. They were able to solve the problem using a communication complexity of O of kappa n to the 4, where n is the total number of parties and kappa is a security parameter. They also used 4 rounds and used digital signatures. In comparison with Haibin option 2, Haibin also offers high threshold, but with an order of magnitude better communication complexity, both amortized and non-amortized, using less number of rounds and no digital signatures. The only paper that achieved optimal amortized communication complexity is line 3, the KMY paper, and they used trusted setup. They were able to get an optimal amortized communication complexity of O of kappa n, but they did it with more than 4 rounds and used a trusted setup and digital signatures. In comparison with Haibin option 2, Haibin achieves optimal amortized communication complexity with only 3 rounds, no digital signatures, and no trusted setup. The paper that achieved the best communication complexity is line 2, the BDK paper, and they used trusted setup. They were able to achieve the optimal communication complexity of O of kappa n squared. In comparison with Haibin option 1, Haibin offers the same communication complexity, but better amortized communication complexity, while still supporting high threshold. In comparison with Haibin option 2, Haibin achieves slightly less in terms of communication complexity, with O of kappa n squared log n, but supports high threshold, doesn't need a trust setup, and offers a better amortized communication complexity. So how did we do this? In short, most of the performance comes from the fact that we were able to drop the need for a bivariate polynomial. The bivariate polynomial was costly, and costed O of n squared to commit to. Most of the AVSS construction that has been proposed so far, as far as we know, rely on bivariate polynomial. We claim that we don't need a bivariate polynomial altogether. The dealer doesn't have to generate the shares according to a bivariate polynomial. Instead, the dealer first generates the shares of a secret S, this is the last row in the figure, and then secret shares every share of that secret. This is the columns. Each party I will have its own recovery polynomial Si. Moreover, every party I will be handed out one share from every other party's recovery polynomial. That way, honest parties can help each other recover their shares. We claim that committing to every univariate polynomial Si and recovery polynomial R is enough, given the right argument from the dealer. We also claim that we can do it with constant size. Basically, we want the dealer to prove to each party in zero knowledge that the recovery polynomial of all other parties are generated from secret sharing shares of the original secret. Formally, if R is the recovery polynomial, what we want to prove is, for all I, Si evaluated at 0 is equal to R evaluated at I. It is very important for the recovery polynomial R to have a degree less than the threshold of reconstruction. Otherwise, we might not have agreement over what secret is being shared. Different groups of parties might reconstruct different secrets. It's also very important for every share polynomial Si to have a degree less than or equal to T. Otherwise, some honest parties won't be able to reconstruct their share. I claim that using polynomial commitments will enable us to solve the zero knowledge consistency problem and let us use a constant size commitment. So what is a polynomial commitment? A polynomial commitment is a way for a prover to commit to a polynomial f, and then prove a certain evaluation of f on a certain x. Meaning, a prover first commits to a function f, and then claims that f of x is an evaluation of f on x. The prover needs to convince the verifier of this. Sometimes, the prover needs to submit an argument called the witness to the verifier, but sometimes the witness is empty. The verifier then takes the commitment that was given to him previously, f of x, and the witness and concludes whether the prover is telling the truth or not. I have put 4 different styles of polynomial commitments in front of you. The first 2 are what most of the papers are using when solving the AVSS problem. The KMS paper from 2020 used Feldman commitments. In this style of commitments, the prover commits to every coefficient, and this is linear in terms of the degree of the polynomial. This causes the bivariate polynomial commitment to be as big as O(n squared). Note, this commitment style is fully binding, but computationally hiding. Also notice that the secret has to have high entropy. The CKLS paper used Pedersen style. Pedersen commitments are also linear in terms of the degree of the polynomial. This will also cause the bivariate polynomial commitment to be n squared. The KMY paper and the BDK paper used KZG commitments to achieve better communication complexity. KZG commitments offer a commitment size of constant and a constant witness size, but it comes at a cost of trusted setup. Bullet proofs, on the other hand, can also be used as polynomial commitments. They usually have the expressive power to prove things about the inner product of 2 vectors while being short. But since we can encode polynomial evaluations using 2 vectors, we can use bullet proofs. The commitment size is constant, the proof/witness of bullet proofs are log size, and rely on the Fayad-Shamir heuristic to be non-interactive. They require no trusted setup in the random Ohlacre model. Also notice that all polynomial commitments listed here are additively homomorphic. Specifically, multiplying 2 polynomial commitments produce a commitment to the sum of those polynomials. So let's use polynomial commitments to solve the consistency problem. To be able to make use of the homomorphism property, we are going to make the recovery polynomial to be on the diagonal. Note, the secret is located at R0 and is not shown in the table in front of you. Now, checking that the shares have been produced consistently is easy. Given the polynomial commitments to R and every Si, every honest party can verify that Si minus R evaluated at I is equal to 0. And the way to do it is the party first produces Si minus R using the homomorphic property of the polynomial commitment, and then verifies that 0 is an evaluation of Si minus R at I. This of course assumes that the dealer sends each party the proper witnesses. Now, if we can commit to every Si and R in a constant size root commitment, and still be able to make claims about Si and R being part of the root commitment, then we are almost done. So let's make that root commitment constant size. Let's go over some suggestions. We can put the polynomial commitments in an accumulator. It's like a set. The only problem is that it's unbounded. The dealer can plant more polynomial commitments and then use that to cheat. If we have bounded accumulators, then we will not have this problem. Merkle trees are nice, but the protocol has to be upfront on what branches are going to be used for the polynomials. We don't want the dealer to commit to more polynomials, then we will have the same problem as accumulators. Vector commitments allow you to commit to an ordered set of values and then later open the commitment at a specific position. Sounds exactly what we want, and this is what we used in the paper. What about polynomial commitments? Where polynomial commitments are also vector commitments, and we can also use them. So, what is Haibin again? If I want to summarize Haibin in a few words, I will say Haibin is just a reliable broadcast of a root commitment, while at the same time sharing shares that are linked to the root commitment. And the link is established using additively homomorphic polynomial commitments. Haibin will use the same structure as Bracha reliable broadcast, as you will see soon. We also have a dealing stage, an echo stage, and a ready stage. So how does it work exactly? Let's start with the dealing stage. From the AVSS's perspective, the goal of the dealing stage is to send every party I its own share of the final secret polynomial R. Those shares are colored in pink, and at the same time give every honest party enough shares of shares so that they can help other honest parties acquire their share of the original secret later. And that's the shares that lie on column I. So this is what the dealer would do in the dealing stage. The dealer would produce a Shamir secret sharing of a secret S with a proper reconstruction threshold. The polynomial that represents those shares is R, colored in pink, and is on the diagonal. The dealer would secret share every share on R and produce every row polynomial Si. The dealer would commit to the pink polynomial R and every row polynomial Si. The dealer would create a constant size root commitment, like I described in the previous slide, and create all the witnesses that proves that they are included in the root commitment. The dealer needs to prove to the other parties that the shares have been produced correctly, so the dealer needs to create witnesses that R minus SI evaluated at I is equal to 0 for all I. The parties can later check that because the commitments are additively homomorphic. Next, the dealer is going to send every party the column shares along with witnesses that proves that they belong to the row polynomials. This will ensure that t plus 1 honest parties will be able to reconstruct the rows of the other t honest parties. If you look carefully, you'll see that the dealer is sending information that depends on the polynomial commitment size, the share size, the witness size, and the number of parties. If KZG commitments are used, the dealer would be sending linear information to every party I. If bullet proofs are used, the dealer would be sending n log n information, and that's due to the witness size being log in the size of the number of parties. The echo stage is when every honest party is echoing back what it heard from the dealer, on the condition that the dealer sends consistent shares. The shares are considered consistent if the recovery polynomial intersects correctly with every row polynomial, the recovery polynomial and every row polynomial are in the root commitment, all the shares provided by the dealer, i.e. the column shares, are also consistent with their respective row polynomials. Only if all of these checks pass, then an honest party will send an echo. The echo to party J will consist of three things: the root commitment, the polynomial commitment Sj, this denotes what party I thinks party J's polynomial commitment is, along with its proper witness, the share Sj at I with its proper witness. The echo to party J will be constant or log based on the polynomial commitment used. For KZG commitment, the witness is constant size, so the echo to party J will be constant size. For bullet proofs, the witness is log, so the echo to party J is going to be log. I claim that in the ready stage, we just have to complete bracha on the root commitment. The protocol is the same as bracha. A party sends a ready if it hears t plus 1 ready messages or hears 2t plus 1 echo messages. I need to convince you that this is enough. In order to do this, I will prove both the agreement property and correctness at the same time. If one honest party finishes, then this means that it hears 2t plus 1 ready messages. This means that there exists at least one honest party that heard 2t plus 1 echo messages. From 2t plus 1 echo messages, at least t plus 1 came from honest parties. This means that those t plus 1 honest parties are going to send or already sent t plus 1 echo messages to everyone else, and it's just a matter of time until they get them. Thus, all honest parties will be able to create their shares and finish once they have agreement on the root commitment, which is guaranteed by bracha reliable broadcast. In the reconstruction, every party will send its share of the pink polynomial to every other party. When every honest party has p shares, the party can reconstruct the secret. But we still have to take care of malicious parties. An honest party will only accept a pink share if the party is given a valid proof. There are two ways to do the proof: the witness method and the trace method. With the trace method, the honest party will claim its own Ri is correct by giving all the t plus 1 points on its Si polynomial along with the witnesses. This is enough to reconstruct its share Ri along with the witnesses. This can be expensive. Every party is sending a linear amount of information to every other party. The other method requires the honest party I to produce a witness Ri that proves that Ri lies on Si evaluated at I. Note that the dealer does hand this to every party in the sharing phase, but just in case the party didn't receive its own, the party could produce its own witness if the polynomial commitment used is deterministic or the randomness of the polynomial commitment has been passed to party I with the share. This is the case with KCG commitment. However, with bullet proofs, in the paper, we use the deterministic way to commit to the polynomial. Amortizing haven follows the ideas from Crouching. If a dealer is sharing a lot of secrets at the same time, we can group the secrets into one large secret and save on the communication complexity. If you know what AVID is, then effectively we integrate AVID with Haven in a non-black box way. The idea is to encrypt the large secret and then AVSS the key, while at the same time dispersing the encrypted pieces in the most efficient non-private way. The reconstruction will consist of reconstructing the key that will be used to recover the original large secret. This is what the dealer is going to do. The dealer first encrypts the large secret using a randomly generated ephemeral symmetric key, and he's going to break the large ciphertext using the Reed-Solomon technique into chunks, each of the size of the secret over t+1, such that any t+1 honest parties can reconstruct the large secret. Notice that each chunk size is substantially smaller than the large secret. The dealer hashes each chunk and adds it to the root commitment. Now we can do the AVSS on the key. And let's do some extra checks in parallel to make sure that the chunks can be traced to the root commitment. The broadcast is going to be linear in the size of the large secret, since the dealer is sending one large encrypted secret to everyone. The echo stage is going to be linear because every party is sending a message that is dominated by the chunk of size of the secret over t+1. If t is equal to n over 3, then every party is sending a constant size message in terms of the size of the large secret. This will make the echo has a total communication complexity of O of n times the size of the large secret. Hence, we get a total communication complexity that is linear in the size of the large secret. To summarize, we built a customizable high-threshold AVSS that is both easy in the design and optimal in different aspects. Optimal number of rounds, optimal amortized communication complexity, no trusted setup using bulletproofs, optimal communication complexity using KZG commitments. We have some suggestions about future work. One can equip Haibin with Fry polynomial commitments to make a quantum-resistant AVSS. One can design a more friendly amortized AVSS that can be used as a building block for asynchronous MPC. Or one can build a general framework for constructing AVSS. The framework could generate AVSS code based on the security assumptions that can be tolerated.